time is 6:15. Here's the news edited by Dulmin Samarasinghe, read by Victor Raj. Here are the headlines of the local news. Sri Lanka and Japan hold discussions on further strengthening relations between the two countries. The Prime Minister invites French investors to invest in the new areas. An amendment proposed to the Children and Young Personnel Ordinance. 2 suspects arrested for defrauding money from people by promising employment opportunities in Japan and South Korea. Foreign news: Cuba suffers complete blackout after storm. Sports news: golfer's wife honors at the Eagles Monsoon Cup. Local news in detail. President Ranil Wickremesinghe met Japanese Prime Minister Fumio Kishida at the Akasaka Palace in Tokyo today. The Japanese Prime Minister warmly welcomed President Wickremesinghe and extended his best wishes on his appointment to the office of President. They held discussions on further strengthening relations between the two countries. Meanwhile, President Ranil Wickremesinghe called on His Majesty Emperor Naruhito at an imperial palace, his official residence in Tokyo, where he was warmly welcomed. After concluding his Japan visit, President Wickremesinghe is scheduled to leave for Philippines to preside over the meeting of the governors of the Asian Development Bank. During his visit to the Philippines, the President will hold discussions with the President of the Philippines, Ferdinand Marcos Jr., and the President of the Asian Development Bank, Masatsugu Asakawa. Prime Minister Dinesh Gunawardena said the French investors should enter into new areas of investment such as fisheries, agriculture, information technology, renewable energy, electronics and tourism. This was stated when the outgoing French ambassador Eric Levertou paid a farewell call on him at the Prime Minister's office in Colombo yesterday. Ambassador Levertou said Sri Lanka has vast potential in information technology, tourism and agriculture, and France will undertake more projects once the global economic situation gets over the current difficult phase. He said that fisheries development has the potential of bringing in a foreign exchange income as there is a demand for fish products in Europe and other markets. Meanwhile, the Prime Minister instructed officials to conduct an impartial inquiry into the fire that broke out at Kajimawat in Muthual. While attending the Colombo District Coordinating Committee meeting today, the Prime Minister directed them to provide the report within 1 week. Communications Department of Parliament said an amendment has been proposed by a committee in Parliament to the Children and Young Persons Ordinance to consider the age of the person who shall be a child to be raised from 16 to 18 years. The proposal has been made at the Select Committee of Parliament to look into the report of Parliament, its recommendations to ensure gender equity and equality under Committee Chairperson Sudarshani Fernandopoulos. Accordingly, the amendment proposed to omit the reference to young persons and rename the principal enactment as the Children's Ordinance. The Special Operations Unit of Sri Lanka Bureau of Foreign Employment has arrested 2 suspects on the charges of defrauding money from people by promising employment opportunities in Japan and South Korea. The investigations were initiated based on information received by Minister Manusha Nanaikara. The investigation officers have raided a popular location in Kurunegala where the suspects in question gathered youth in the area and charged 1,500 rupees per person as the registration fee for providing employment in Japan and South Korea. This news comes to you from the Sri Lanka Broadcasting Corporation. Continuing with more local news, Sri Lanka Podujana Peramuna has suspended the party membership of the Rajangania Pradesh Sabha member Mahesh Surya Arachi, who was arrested in connection with the recent attempted bank robbery. The The Pradesh Sabha member in question is accused of aiding and abetting the suspect involved in the robbery attempt. The incident took place at around 2 p.m. on Monday when a businessman from Tambutekama Economic Center was carrying approximately 22.3 million rupees in cash to be deposited at the private bank in Tambutekama. A fundamental rights petition has been filed at the Supreme Court requesting to nullify the gazette declaring certain places in Colombo as high security zones. The petition was filed by the Samagi Jana Balawegya members of the Parliament, Harsana Rajakaruna and Mujibur Rahman. The Attorney General, Secretary of Defence and some others have been named as respondent of the case. Petitioners say that the President has no authority to declare high security zones under State Secret Act. Therefore, the Supreme Court is requested to issue a restraining order preventing the implementation of high security zones as it violates fundamental rights. Former Director General of the Information Commission and Senior Administrative Officer Piyathis Ranasinghe says that information is owned by the public, since all the information is for the public. He further points out that whoever does not disclose information required by the public is violating the fundamental rights of the public. He said this while taking part in a discussion held at the Government Information Department to mark the International Day on Right to Information. The procedure to implement the Act of Information was launched on this occasion. The first copy of it was handed over to the Secretary to the Ministry of Media, Anusha Palpiter, by the Additional Secretary of the Ministry, EMSB Jayasundara. Meanwhile, former Speaker Karu Jayasura says that the support given by the President and other officials is praiseworthy. This was revealed at the celebration of the International Day on Right to Information. A subsistence allowance has been given to the families of the deceased and injured of the Easter Sunday bombing at Zion Church in Batiklo. 3 million rupees have been distributed as livelihood assistance to 90 families affected by the bomb attack. Batiklo EHED Caritas has provided financial assistance under the Financial Assistance Program of His Holiness Pope Francis. In 2019, the Holy Pope Francis announced a special assistance program for the victims of the bomb attack on Easter Sunday. At Colombo Fashion Week 2022, CFW Accelerated identified as the best 5 high-potential emerging designers, and these individuals were provided with funding to pursue their passion for fashion last month at HSBC's head office in Fort. The candidates, including Ayesh Vikramaratne, Divya Jaivikrama, Harinder Gunawardana, Nilusha Madhumagi, Navindri Ranathunga, are now supported by the HSBC Fashion Fund and CFW, both financially and the terms of mentorship of the support business development, fulfilling the promise of the Colombo Fashion Week Accelerate. The 5 recipients of the HSBC Fashion Fund scholarships will begin their journey down the path of responsible fashion and sustainability, merging their own values with that of the Colombo Fashion Week, giving local fashion a global identity. That ends local news.
The main news story is brought to you by Siddhalepa Vedamahatmya.
The inaugural meeting of the National Council is scheduled to be held tomorrow under the patronage of Speaker of the Parliament, Mahinda Abeyewardene. The meeting will commence at 10:30 a.m. in Parliament. The Speaker announced to the Parliament on 23rd of this month the list of the members of Parliament who have been nominated for the National Council, which was established as per the proposal of Prime Minister Dinesh Gunawardene. The National Council consists of members representing Parliament from the respective political parties. That ends main news story.
The main news news story was brought to you by Siddhalepa Vedamahatmya.
Moving on to Watchlight, the Excise Department has introduced a mobile app to verify the authenticity of liquor in the retail market. After scanning the sticker pasted on the cap of the liquor bottle with a mobile phone, customers can now know the date of the manufacturer, the alcohol content, and information about the manufacturer. If the liquor bottle is fake, customers can inform the investigation unit of the Excise Department using the app. That ends Watchlight. Moving on to world news, let's take a look at the headlines. Cuba suffers complete blackout after storm. EU says sabotage is to be blamed for Nord Stream leaks. The IMF openly criticized UK government's tax plans. World news in detail. Cuba is completely without power after Hurricane Ian pummeled the western end of the island. The electrical system is experiencing total collapse, officials said, after one of the main power plants could not be brought back online. 2 people were reported dead and buildings were damaged nationwide. The Category 3 hurricane, packing wind speed up to 195 km per hour, is now bearing down on Florida. The EU has said leaks in 2 major gas pipelines from Russia to Europe were caused by sabotage, but stopped short of directly accusing Russia. The head of the European Commission, Ursula von der Leyen, said deliberate disruption would result in the strongest possible response. The EU has previously accused Russia of using gas supplies and the Nord Stream line as a weapon against the West. The International Monetary Fund has openly criticized the UK government over its plan for tax cuts, warning that the measures are likely to fuel the cost of living crisis. In an unusual, outspoken statement, the IMF said that the proposal was likely to increase inequality and add to pressures pushing up prices. Markets have already raised alarm over the plans, sending the pound plunging. The government says the measures will kickstart economic growth. To wrap up the world news, let's take a look at the headlines. Cuba suffers complete blackout after storm. EU says sabotage is to be blamed for Nord Stream leaks. The IMF openly criticizes UK government's tax plans. That ends world news. Moving on to development news, President of the Asian Development Bank, Masatsugu Asakawa, told the press conference at the ADB 55th annual meeting held yesterday in Manila that the Asian Development Bank is working closely with the Sri Lankan government in supporting the country in its challenging times. Asakawa said in 2020, developing Asia and Pacific saw its first contraction of economic growth in nearly 6 decades. He said the climate change remains a crucial issue for the region, with Asia and the Pacific responsible for 50% of global greenhouse gas emissions. That ends development news. Sports news is brought to you by...
With many values that bind us beyond the transaction, we are Sampath Bank. We present your future.
Golf news. Over 80 top golfers from all parts of the country will be vying for honours when the inaugural Eagles Monsoon Cup 3-day golf tournament 2022 gets underway on Friday at the Air Force Golf Links in China Bay. The event will be concluded by the Sri Lankan Air Force to fill the gap of the golfing events that are held during the monsoon season and sponsored by Huawei Technologies Lanka Company Private Limited. In addition to the Eagles Monsoon Cup, the golfers will also vie for the Eagles Monsoon Defence Challenge Trophy, which is awarded to the best serving player from the Sri Lankan Armed Forces. The Air Force Golf Lanka is an 18-hole course that offers nearly 7 kilometers of challenging golf for a par of 72. That ends sports news.
The fastest way to earn the highest interest from NSB, now extended till the 30th of September just for you. Your short-term deposits receive an attractive interest rate of 20% in 3 months and 22% in 7 months. Visit a bank branch or a main postal office today. NSB, the only bank with 100% government guarantee.
Business News, sponsored by National Savings Bank, the safest place for your money. Doc 990 Clinic Solution by Sri Lanka's pioneering digital health solutions provider was awarded the Health Tech Award under the category of Telecare at the 5th Commonwealth Digital Health Awards by the Commonwealth Centre for the Digital Health. The Doc 990 Clinic Solution is a channeling platform that was extended free of charge to the Lady Ridgeway Hospital with 1,390 toll-free trilingual channeling hotline from any mobile network. That ends Business News. Business News, sponsored by
the fastest way to earn the highest interest from NSB, now extended till the 30th of September just for you. Your short-term deposits receive an attractive interest rate of 20% in 3 months and 22% in 7 months. Visit a bank branch or a main postal office today. NSB, the only bank with 100% government guarantee.
Economic news, courtesy of
Saving money isn't easy when you have responsibility. That's why we promise to give you the best returns and guarantee on your investment. LOLC Finance Fixed Deposits. Maximize your savings. LOLC Finance PLC, incorporated on the 13th of December 2001, is rated SLA stable by ICRA Lanka Limited and is licensed by the Monetary Board of the Central Bank of Sri Lanka under the Finance Business Act number 42 of 2011.
Governor of the Central Bank, Dr. Nandalal Veerasinghe, emphasized the importance of research collaborations between the academia and policymakers to address various issues faced by the economic amidst the prevailing high volatility in the global economic landscape. He made this point when the Central Bank of Sri Lanka co-hosted the third consecutive online macroeconomics conference held in collaboration with the Asian Development Bank Institute and the Asia Pacific Applied Economics Association. That ends Economic News.
Saving money isn't easy when you have responsibility. That's why we promise to give you the best returns and guarantee on your investment. LOLC Finance Fixed Deposits. Maximize your savings. LOLC Finance PLC, incorporated on the 13th of December 2001, is rated SLA stable by ICRA Lanka Limited and is licensed by the Monetary Board of the Central Bank of Sri Lanka under the Finance Business Act number 42 of 2011.
Finally, on to the weather report. The Met Department says showers will occur at times in Sabaragamuwa province and in Kandy and Nuwara districts. Several spells of showers will occur in western and northwestern provinces and in Gul and Mathura districts. South of thunder showers will occur at several places in Uva province and Ampara and Batiklo districts during the evening or night. That ends the weather report. To wrap up the evening news on Radio Sri Lanka, let's take a look at the headlines once again. Sri Lanka and Japan hold discussions on further strengthening relations between the two countries. The Prime Minister invites French investors to invest in new areas. An amendment proposed to the Children and Young Persons Ordinance. 2 suspects arrested for defrauding money from people by promising employment opportunities in Japan and South Korea. Foreign news, Cuba suffers a complete blackout after storm. In sports news, golfer's wife who honors at the Eagles Monsoon Cup. With that, we wrap up the evening news on Radio Sri Lanka.